Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. You apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information? Mr. Chairman,
Why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady has
I'm
reclaimed her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me, I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're gonna answer
theatrics
the
are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Now you continue the cover-up, and I
has
wish
expired.
that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
apologize
Chair now
to them
recognizes the chair.
on what you have done.
Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump?
In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades."
See, when you start hearing words like mass cover-up, no charges will be filed with any names that are exposed or revealed, protecting predators and exposing the survivors instead of perpetrators, that's just not politics. It lets you know that this game being played is bigger than the game that we're seeing. Man. If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Man, today we definitely got to dig deep into this Jeffrey Epstein file situation in the Department of Justice. When lawmakers started pressing Attorney General Pam Bondi about the Epstein files, things went left real quick. Now we're talking interruptions, sharp jabs, accusations of a cover-up, and one question that's looming over the entire room: is the Department of Justice actually protecting powerful people, or is this a political theater designed to fuel outrage? Before we dig deep, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that like button, hit the hype button to help the channel continue to grow. And ask yourself, are we actually witnessing the people in power protect the other people in power and not the actual victims? And we're talking about a group of lawmakers who don't trust themselves or each other, but they expect for us to trust them. Man, are they playing in our face, or can you make that make sense? Grab a seat. We finna dig deep.
Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted. The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted, along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades. Your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein.
So let's dig. Now, first and foremost, we definitely want to send our condolences and respect to the survivors. But put yourself in their positions. Imagine how that feeling, having to live with this all this time, for all this information all these years to be covered up, redacted, for the Department of Justice to actually step in and release their name to the public, but keep the names of those who offended them protected. Just when you think justice is prevailing, talk about a smack in the face. Let that sink in.
In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades." To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their
In
information?
this chair twice.
Attorney General
Twice.
Bondi,
No, okay, can I
I'm gonna
finish my
reclaim-
answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a
Attorney General, yes,
specific
sir.
question
Attorney General
that
can
I would
respond to your
like you
question.
to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions. The witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she
It
doesn't
is
like the
my
answer.
time.
Now, did you hear the tone of that question? Now, that wasn't just oversight. That was accusation. This lawmaker said cover up. That means they're not asking for clarification. They're alleging corruption at the highest level. Is that what we're witnessing? But here's where it gets tricky. There's a difference between the DOJ not releasing everything the public wants and the DOJ actively protecting criminals. Those are two very different claims. But keep in mind, when the trust in these institutions and in these lawmakers is already relatively low, any unanswered question starts to seem like guilt. Let's dig.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she ask
question.
Merrick Garland this twice?
I am
when
reclaiming
he
my
sat in my
time, and when
chair?
I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the
my
gentlelady has
time.
reclaimed
I'm
her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll
this.
direct it to
What a
you.
massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to
interrupted.
get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time.
doing theatrics.
Let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final
Thank you.
17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only
Regular
to
order.
then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Ghislaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up, and I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level
Chairman,
apologize
The chair now
to them
recognizes the chair.
on what you have done.
The time of the
I
gentlelady
yield
expired.
back.
The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back.
Theatrics.
We appreciate the thought.
So let's dig a bit deeper. As you see, things quickly begin to escalate as lawmakers begin to apply pressure to Attorney General Bondi. But ask yourself this: why did apologizing make her so uncomfortable if she's on the right side of the law? And ask yourself, as a survivor in that position, how would you feel sitting there firsthand, hearing, expecting justice, expecting this lawmaker, this attorney general to bring justice and be on your side, not even turn around to simply apologize, while continuing to bring darkness to the truth and shed more light and emphasis on the lies?
Shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example: the Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James. This DOJ has been hell-bent on securing an indictment against Ms. James for something, anything, simply because she held Donald Trump's companies accountable for years of financial fraud. And indeed, the department manufactured an investigation against her for alleged, quote, mortgage fraud. But the U.S. attorney leading the investigation, Eric Siebert, a Trump appointee, refused to bring charges against Ms. James because there was simply no evidence. Unfortunately, a prosecutor who refuses to do Trump's bidding has no place in this DOJ, so Mr. Siebert was forced out. Trump could not contain his fury that he expressed to you in a social media post addressed to you by name. I'm sure you've seen it. Quote, I fired him and there is a great case, he wrote to you about Mr. Siebert. Then we moved down. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. And obviously, you followed that order. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former defense lawyer who had never prosecuted a case in her life, was installed to replace Mr. Siebert, and it was clear that part of her mandate was to go after Ms. James. Halligan immediately sought an indictment, which a court dismissed because Halligan was illegally put into the role. But your department was undeterred. And not once, but twice, it tried to indict Attorney General James in separate courts. Both grand juries rejected you and refused to indict her. It is practically unheard of for a grand jury to refuse an indictment. In 2016, it happened in just 6 cases out of over 150,000 offenses. And you had it happen twice in the same week, in 2 different courts. That must have been humiliating. And now there are reports that you are continuing to investigate her. The amount of resources that have gone into targeting Attorney General James, months of investigations, multiple failed indictments, is astounding. Since your own prosecutors told you that there is not enough evidence to support a conviction, it's clear that you are going after her simply because she held President Trump accountable and he wants to punish her. And she is just one name on a long list of Trump political enemies that DOJ is reportedly targeting. From Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook at the Federal Reserve to James Comey, numerous Democratic members of Congress, John Brennan, Jack Smith, Democratic officials in Minnesota, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylors, and more. And those are just the ones we know about. In contrast to these politically motivated investigations, grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me, I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're gonna answer
theatrics
the
are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked. How many have you
Jordan, I'm not
indicted?
going to get in the gutter with these people,
How many
but
have
I'm
you-
going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
the time
I
belongs.
think it's very
Reclaiming
interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting.
time.
You can
When
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they
Close the
indicted
clock.
him
Mr.
twice.
Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and
And
stop
he
the clock and
indicted-
restore his
oh,
time.
okay, here we go with
Committee
these
will be in order.
theatrics.
The time
Reclaiming my
belongs to
time
the
and
gentleman
roll
from
back
New
the clock,
York.
please.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when
Reclaiming
you ask
my-
a question,
And again, keep in mind, none of the survivors have had any communication with the Attorney General or any of the staff from the DOJ. So to not even be deserving enough for a formal apology face-to-face, in my opinion, is more of a smack in the face. Especially when the survivors were the ones who were exposed, all from the Department of Justice mistakes. Was that really just a simple mistake, a part of a bigger play? Let that sink in.
witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she
Right.
gets to
The
answer.
question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like
What?
the answer,
Reclaiming
Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
Reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds,
I
Mr.
am
Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Reclaiming my
answer.
time.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way. And
Reclaiming-
I told you about that, Attorney General, before you
You
started.
don't tell me
Yeah, oh, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I
Not a
said that
few more,
already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Reclaiming my time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None
has
of the perpetrators have been
expired.
brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time
have been
of the
dedicated to
gentleman has
pursuing Trump's
expired,
enemies.
and
It's
obviously
clear
there
that
was-
under your leadership, the Department of Justice
There was
no longer
no
works
question
for
in
American
there
people. It works
for her to
for Donald
respond to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next.
Thank you. First, he brought up the president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen to a 4-year low thanks to Donald Trump. That's why they want to focus on Epstein and our most transparent president in the nation's history. The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low thanks to Donald Trump. For an unprecedented 9 straight months, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. That's what we should be focused on. All the great work that this president has done and will continue to do to keep America safe and to make Americans safe.
So let's dig. So apologizing is one thing, not apologizing is another. But here's the real uncomfortable question. If someone knew and said nothing, are they just as guilty? Legally, no. It depends on the evidence and the involvement. Morally, that's where things get sticky. Because silence in the face of wrongdoing, especially involving abuse, feels like complicity to the public. And that's the emotional core of this debate. People aren't just angry about the Epstein, they're angry about the idea that powerful people may escape any type of consequence. And again, did the plan to release these files actually backfire? Or were they actually released for a bigger reason at this time, right now? Is this justice or selective transparency? And remember, at this point, it's deeper than just the victim. It's about trust and the justice system altogether. So are we witnessing a cover-up, no justice for the victims? Or is this just the fallout of a system trying to operate within its legal boundaries under a microscope? Y'all make sure y'all drop y'all's thoughts below. Will these survivors actually ever get justice, or will the Department of Justice just keep depending on the justices to bring no justice? And with the Epstein files finally been released, in my opinion, it's time for us to stop paying attention to what we hear and pay attention more to what we read. Remember, the truth lies within the details, but so does the lie within the truth. Is the Department of Justice withholding information about Epstein's connections, or is this just a political play altogether? Man, until next time, y'all remember, the greater the height, the greater the weight. Y'all drop y'all thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that like button, hit that hype button, share the video. Remember, keep it respectful, because this conversation is bigger than politics. It's about justice, and whether justice applies equally to everyone. Until next time, remember, the life you save could be your very own. As always, I'm your host, Jay. Gone.